All right, we're going to go over the review of why Alabama lost to Michigan last night in the Rose Bowl game. Let's talk about it, right? First and foremost, when you look at it, Michigan's defense was a problem the entire night, right? Michigan's defense, they brought it to Alabama's offense. They were disruptive. Alabama's offense looked like deer in headlights. They didn't know who to block. They couldn't figure things out. They struggled. Looked like they reverted back to their old ways, the way they were playing early on in the season. You got to tip your hat to Michigan. We heard a lot about this defense. A lot of people were doubting Michigan's defense based on the competition that they had faced. They still ranked the top of all the polls and statistics, but people were questionable. I myself, last night they proved that they're a stellar defense. They have a really great game plan, a nice collection of players that all get involved. So they put that on display. You got to tip your hat there. But look, man, they held Alabama's offense to a season low of 288 yards. The stunts, pressures, and blitzes, them just mixing things up. We just couldn't get a hold of it. We couldn't find a way to protect. Jalen Milroe had no time. He had pressure in his face. They had 5 sacks. Yes, 5 sacks in the first half. And playing like that, it's hard to win a football game, right? And then just the play calling, it just seemed like we almost got out-coached in the first half. Offensively, like we had that script. We got away from the things that really started giving us success later on in the season, using Jalen Milroe's athleticism, right? Moving the pocket, rolling out, kind of doing some quick pass, things like that, quarterback design runs. That had been our bread and butter as of late, but we got away from that. We didn't see that in the first half. We finally switched things up in the second half and played much better, moved the ball much more effectively, had that success, but we shouldn't have waited that long, right? Especially given, you're playing a very aggressive defense. You've got to switch things up. You can't make it so easy for a defense where they're dictating what you're doing on offense. Defensively, let's go back real quick. Bad snaps plagued this offense again. That might have been one of the most the serious issues in this football game. The bad snaps, they were costly with drives. They were drive killers. They've caused issues throughout the year, and that turned up again in this game. That's a huge issue, a glaring issue, that you're in the 14th game of the season and we still can't get a clean snap. I think that affected that final play of the game where Jalen Milroe got the ball. He didn't have time to really read his run, where he probably should have bounced it to the C gap behind that lead puller. I think they obviously killed drives early in the game. In the second half, they definitely killed drives. That one where we had 2 back-to-back bad snaps. So again, you can't win playing football like that. Defensively, we didn't execute. We played some good football, came up with some nice stops, but we didn't come up with stops when we needed the most, right? And then the big plays that Michigan made for the most part were all missed opportunities. They were mental errors, right? The touchdown of Blake Corum, the first one in the game, right? That was a mental error. The 4th and 2, again, another bunch formation, running backs wide open, mental error. That led to a 30-yard plus gain, setting up a scoring opportunity. Again, you can't win like that. And even though the defense didn't play terrible, they, for the most part, played solid. They just dropped the ball in the most critical moments. And again, that's going to end up being costly. So you compare the two defenses. Alabama's defense only had 1 tackle for loss, 1 sack versus Michigan's 10 tackles for loss, 6 sacks, right? We got outplayed, man. I mean, there's no other way to sum it up. We got outplayed and we got outcoached in this ball game. Michigan did use a bunch of formations, shifts and motions, things to kind of confuse our defense, create challenges for us, and that proved to be effective, especially given those situations where they created mental errors and created some big opportunities for them. So you got to tip their hats there. But I will say I wish we were a little more aggressive on defense like we saw Michigan's defense, right? This would have been a great opportunity. Michigan likes to run the ball. They don't pass it great. I would have, brought a lot of hats up to the line of scrimmage, forced some pressure, right? Been a lot more aggressive in this ball game, but we didn't necessarily really see that. So those are really, the main reasons we got the results that we saw, right? We got outplayed. Those guys are playing with fire, passion. We looked kind of stagnant, kind of looked a little confused, hesitant. Didn't really look like we had our mind in the right place. And Michigan just played a great game. Defensively, their defensive effort was phenomenal. They were playing lights out. They were disruptive. They were effective. I mean, even the secondary guys, we didn't really have any opportunities to throw the football downfield. They were plastering our receivers. So defensively, they played great. Offensively, we just dropped the ball. We couldn't really get anything going. Couldn't really drive the ball. We really only scored when we had those, short field opportunities. And again, the defense, who played pretty decent for the most part, those critical mental errors really ended up being very costly for Alabama. So, that's the tail of the tape. You go back and watch. That's pretty much what happened. Still a good game between two good football teams, but Michigan, they overcame those special teams blunders to win the football game. Alabama almost found a way, should have won the football game. If you look at it, had the lead in the fourth quarter with only a few minutes left, but again, the defense couldn't get a stop when they needed it most. And again, that's kind of how it goes. So those are my keys on why Alabama lost this football game. I don't think it's the end of anything. It's just another opportunity to learn from this and grow from this. You got a young football team this year. Fully expect them to kind of come back, learn from this, and we'll see how it goes in the offseason, see if they make any more transfer portal acquisitions, see if they lose any more guys to the portal. But nonetheless, a solid season for Alabama, a team that arguably had the most growth out of any football team under Coach Saban. A lot of people didn't even expect this team to get to this point. If you look at them back in week 2 and week 3, but their growth and progressions were remarkable throughout the season, but unfortunately they fell short in the Rose Bowl to a good Michigan football team. So there it is. Those are my thoughts on the Alabama-Michigan Rose Bowl and why Alabama fell short. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. If you haven't already, drop a like on this video. If you like the content, make sure you subscribe for more. I'm Christian Miller with the Miller's Edge. We'll see you guys next time.